Hey, I'm Zach. I'm Warp's founder and CEO. Really excited to show off our new features in our Agents 3 launch. So there's four things I want to demo today. One is our new /plan command, which makes plans. A second is interactive code review, where I can code review agent-generated code directly in Warp. The third is what we call full terminal use, where Warp can take control of like full screen or long-running terminal apps and actually use them like a person would to debug or use REPLs. It's super cool. And finally, I want to show how Warp can integrate into other tools you're using so you can launch Warp agents from tools like Slack and Linear. So let's start with planning. Here's a task that I want to do. So it's always bugged me that this completions menu we have isn't dragged to resize. I'd like to be able to make this wider, maybe taller. And this is possible in Warp's Rust UI framework, but it takes a little bit of work. So I'm going to go ahead and start by showing off how to use /plan. I'll bring this in as context, and I'm going to say, take a look at the attached screenshot and make a plan to make this completions menu, the one on the left, drag to resize. You'll want to use our resizable component in order to do this. So I speak to Warp, that's what I typically do. Go ahead and hit enter, and this is going to kick off a flow of exploration where our agent does some research to try to figure out how to create a plan. Now, if you're familiar with test-driven development, this is Warp's version of it, but it has like some special things that I think make it especially cool and useful that I'll point out as it does it. And so the research phase will take a minute here. It's trying to find where in the code the completions menu is. It's found it. It's trying to find the resizable component. It's found it. In Warp, we use a combination here of grep and vector search if you have code-based embeddings turned on. This is working on some very big Rust files, by the way. These are like 10,000 line files. It's kind of a more challenging change that uses our own internal UI framework that the LLM definitely has not been trained on. So we'll see how it does. It's a good use case for a plan. So it now has all the information that it needs, and it's going to go ahead and generate the plan for me. This is going to take a bit. We are updating this to stream in the plan. It just will make the latency feel better, but right now it kind of will one-shot create a planning document for me. Okay, so now we have the plan, and one thing I want to point out is this plan has been synced to your Warp drive. And so what does that mean? So that means when we make plans in Warp, rather than by default writing them as a markdown file into your current directory, we save them into the cloud. And the cool thing about this, so you can find them by clicking over here, clicking on this to get to your Warp drive, and then you'll see a folder that has all of your plans. The cool thing about this is that the plan will live on. It doesn't pollute your source code. You can get links to it. So I could go in here and I could say copy the link. You can also copy the link from up here. And that means you can like link the plan in your PR review. You can come back and pick up the plan later. You can share the plan with a teammate so the teammate can pick up the plan. So it's really cool to have this cloud sync version of the plan. If you prefer Markdown, you can of course save it as a Markdown file and check it in if that's how you want to work. Okay, so let's take a look at this plan for a second. I've looked at it a few times, so I don't want to spend too much time here, but it basically has found the right stuff. You can see that the completions menu width is hard-coded, and what we want to do here is get to a version that's resizable. So first it's going to explain the current state of affairs. It's going to explain how this component works. If I wanted to, I could navigate to this component in our code editor directly within Warp, but it's bringing in the code blocks directly into the plan here, which is super nice. Then it's telling me how it's going to make this change. It's going to do it in nested resizable components, which is what I want because I want to be able to go right and to the bottom. Now, if I wanted to, what's cool here is I could just directly edit this. So I could say like, okay, I don't want to change this return type here. I could just delete it, but I do want to keep this. Or I could go over here and I could say, let's update the plan here. So I could say, can you make sure we add an integration test using our integration test framework to simulate dragging to resize and verify that works? Add that to the plan. So I'll go ahead and do this. And if I ask for a plan update, I want to show something that's cool here. So this will take a second. It's got to do a little bit more research. This is cool. Again, this is our own custom integration test framework, so it needs to learn how to do it. It's going to update the plan. Okay, so now we have a new version of the plan. You can see it's a new version because we've linked this new version here in the block list. And you also can navigate and change your version that's selected by going up here to this planning icon. If I want to go back to the original version, I could without the integration test, but I'll set this on the latest version, which is V2. Now also, I can close this plan and you can tell the plan is still in context because this planning chip is in our input prompt now. And if I want to get the plan back, I can click this. So let's go ahead and close this up and actually say, go ahead and implement the plan for me. Don't worry about doing the integration test for now. Just go ahead and do a point to where the code compiles so I can manually test it. So I'm going to do this and I'm going to click auto approve so we can watch the agent make the changes, and this will take another few minutes. So you'll see as it makes changes, the default behavior in Warp now is to open up our code review panel so that I can see the changes stream in. So this is how I like to work. And this will actually link into the second feature that I want to show you, which is agent code review. But let's go ahead and let the agent make all the changes here. Cool, you can see the diffs come in. I could also, by the way, still see the diffs in line if I want. Like I could expand this. I find this more convenient though. By the way, this is a long file. It's over 10,000 lines of Rust code. It's pretty cool to see if it can get this right. Okay, we'll try and compile and see if it got it right. I bet you there's going to be a compile error or two, maybe not. Compiled it. It's cool. Here we go. Now, as it's compiling, you'll notice something new here, which is our long-running command or full terminal use UI will come up. Now the agent monitors these interactive commands. Now this one's not actually interactive, it's just long running. I don't need to see this, so I'm going to hide it. But if, say, in the middle of doing this, it needed some input for me, like do you want to update to the newest cargo version or something, the agent could actually do that for me. But I'm going to go ahead and hide this. Okay, so we have some compiler errors. Has the wrong types. I'm going to recompile. Cool. So it compiles cleanly now. I'm going to run it and see where we're at. So this will take another second here to build. Okay. Okay, now we've compiled. Let me go ahead and see where we're at with this. By the way, I don't know if this is going to have worked or not, but we will see. Okay, so here, I'll clear this out. This is my local version of Warp that I just built. Let's type git. Something definitely worked here. So we can see, hell yeah, this is super cool. Now there does seem to be some problem here where I see this overflowing at the top. So some sort of clipping issue. I'm not sure what's going on, but overall, this is pretty sweet. Although I would say that we need to solve this clipping issue. And we also, I don't love the way, how thick this looks. So let's go ahead and quit this for a second. And this is a good time to go into my second thing that I want to show you. So the second really cool thing that we've added in this Agents 3 launch is the ability to do like a real code review directly in Warp on agent generated code. And so what do I mean by that? So it's the same style of code review that you could do if a teammate had written this, but since the agent wrote it, you're going to do it on the agent's code. So I basically went over here, I maximized this view because I want to work like this. I can see all the files that were edited. In this case, it was all done in this one file. And I'm just going to go through here and look at what was changed and see what I might improve, if anything. So, and I know there's a couple bugs with it, so we're going to have to address those. So far this looks actually all right to me. So we're no longer doing a constrained box. we're looking at this container with the margin here. So that all seems right. Theme surface 2. So I don't think we want this border. So I'm going to say, actually, maybe I'm wrong about that. So let me cancel out of this. So what's the width of this? So the width, oh, that's just a resize handle. Okay, let me see. I'll be like, I'm going to ask a question. The resize border looks a little thick to me. Is there a way to make it thinner / not duplicate the border of the container? So I'm going to add this as a comment here, which is really a question. Let's say minute bounds callback. Be like, I think a user can make this as big as they want within window bounds. So let's change that. Maybe that's a bad idea. Maybe the agent has it right here. I'll just say same here, like I would to a human. And now you'll see that I have these 3 comments down here. I can go ahead and resize this and look at these. And so these are 3 comments. And just like I was in GitHub, I could go ahead and submit this as a review. So it's going to take these comments. It will link to them here. If I wanted to see the full comment, I could go ahead and click this expand thing. And I would see the full comment, or I can collapse it. It turns it into a task list where it's going to address each one of these comments. To me, this is super cool. This is like the main inner loop code review that I want when working with agents, is the ability to without leaving my tool, not going to GitHub or whatever, just being able to do a real human style code review on agent generated code. And so you can see it's addressing the comments. So cool. Okay, it should compile, I think, again. So I don't know if this is going to work or not, but we'll see. I'm still pretty psyched about this. This is an actual change that I want. Let's go ahead and run. I don't know if it actually fixed it the way that I wanted, but this should give you an idea of what you can do with code review. Then I want to move on to show a couple other super cool features. All right. Okay, this looks awesome. It did it right. Let's make sure it's still draggable. I'm going to actually try and get this in. It's so cool. All right. A+ warp. Good job. Okay, let's go on and check out a couple other new features that I think are really neat. Okay, so I want to show another really cool thing, which is full terminal use. So this is a feature where Warp's agent can use interactive or long-running terminal commands as though it were a human. And so there's a few things where this is valuable. So one is for if your agent, you want to leave it running for a long time. Sometimes agents will run terminal commands and they will require user input. Otherwise the agent will get blocked. So that could be installing the latest version of Python or gcloud or something like that. And Warp's agent can just kind of handle that for you. I want to focus a little bit more on stuff which is more like REPL use, which I think is really cool. So we have I'll show you this with our Postgres REPL. So I'll be open up the interactive Postgres REPL with Warp DB on Warp Dev. So let's see if it can figure this out. Yep, cool. So it's getting me into our REPL here. And now I'm inside the REPL. And what's amazing here is I still have agent mode input so that I can just ask the agent to do stuff in here, and it can do it kind of autonomously. So I'm going to give it permission to do that. I'll click this. And I'm going to say, describe the main tables in our database. So you'll see my message go in. It's going to run this and look at this, and here's a summary of the main tables for me, which is super cool. So now I'm going to ask it to do something more complicated. And I'm going to be like, can you do I'm going to speak to it. analysis on all of the users who joined Warp in the last 180 days. What is the common pattern with how many teams they're on, how many voice requests they've made, how many, let's see what else, how many times they've shared sessions. And, by the way, this is fake data, so don't worry about any kind of data leaking. But you'll see my message go in. And what you'll see here that's super cool is that now the agent can actually drive this REPL as though, wow, I just did it all in one shot. That was so cool. As though it's a human. So it's gathering the team distribution, it's gathering the voice requests, and it's gathering the shared sessions, and it's giving me an overview of them. So what's cool is then I can, it just did this whole thing for me. It's amazing. So it gives me this here, and I'll say like, this is all integrated with our main agent. So I could be like, can you go ahead and output that as a file for me, quit the current REPL, and then open up the Python REPL because I want to write some deeper analysis. I think it probably makes sense to output this data in a more raw form that's suitable for interaction in the Python REPL. So there it goes. It gives me a CSV. Quits this. See if it knows to actually open the Python REPL. It does. This is so freaking cool. So there's my CSV. Now we're going to go ahead and let's go into the Python REPL. And now I'm in another REPL where I have the same thing, and you'll see it's going to start writing code for me to load everything in so I can get to a point where I could do actual analysis on it. This is bonkers. So this is like our version of computer use in Warp with terminal programs. Okay, so now I have this all set up with pandas and it wants my instructions. So I'll be like, can you make me some sort of graph of user distribution of shared sessions? I don't really know what I'm doing here. I just want to see what the agent can do for me. This is bonkers. It's exiting. So now we're back in the main section. I'll be like, open it. Let me see the graph. Where is it? This. I'll just go open. So cool. And yeah, so that's full terminal use. You'll find that it's really awesome for REPLs. You'll find that it's awesome for, making sure the agent doesn't get interrupted. And so you can set by the way, the autonomy permissions for this, your AI settings inside the profile. And so you'll see this interact with long-running commands. If you want something where the agent has maximal autonomy, you can just go, ask on first. Oh, you can go always allow on this, and the agent will just do its thing when it gets potentially blocked on a long-running command. Now, I want to show you one final thing, which is super cool, which is now Warp's agent can work inside other apps, specifically Linear and Slack. I'll show you quickly how this works in Slack, and then I'll show you how it works in Linear, and then I'll show you how you can set this up yourself. So let's start with Slack. And if you've installed the app correctly, and I'll start with that, you can go over here and DM or tag in, we call it Warpy internally, but it's called Warp externally, Warpy, and ask it to do something for you. So this is really cool if you're in the context of like someone says, hey, I found this bug, and you can just tag in Warpy to fix it. I'll just ask for the same thing here. I'll just say like, can you make the completions menu resizable horizontally and vertically? This is in internal and input.rs. I'll give it a little hint on where to go. So I'll DM Warpy here. And obviously the more information you provide, the better it's going to be able to do. What's cool is doing this will go ahead and click off a cloud task where Warp has an environment that we can host for you, or you can host this yourself. And it'll start working on the task. And as it starts working, it should be able, it will give you status updates as it goes on what it's doing. But the cool thing here is like it's using Warp's awesome coding agent plus all of your configuration. So it can access MCP, it can access rules, it can access Warp Drive objects, and you can configure it to have access to your repos. The super duper unique cool thing about Warp's version of this is that if I click on this view agent link here, I can get a live view of what the agent is doing. You can see this in a couple ways. So if I click this link and I have Warp installed, it will get me into the agent's environment. We call this an agent session. And I can see what the agent is doing in this environment here. And here you can see it's already cloned a couple repos. And now here goes the agent. It's going to do this thing. I said, can you make the completions menu resizable horizontally and vertically? And what's really rad about this is that I can either just use this to trace what it's doing, or I can come in here, and this is on a remote machine that has like a clean install of all of Warp's environment and code and everything. And I could ask it to redirect. I could say like, actually, can you make me a plan? I could do anything that I could do locally. I can do in here on this remote machine. And then what's really super cool is that this is also doable on the web. And so anyone who's on your Warp team with you, if you've set that up, can get access to this environment and watch what's happening as the agent is working, or potentially like redirect it. And then when you're done with this, you get this link, which is essentially a transcript of what the agent has done, that if you want to go back and look at how the agent did a thing, you can do that. So I think this is super cool and unique and powerful. You can do the same thing from linear. So I'll just go over here into linear, and I'll show you how quickly how this works in linear. Some random one here, which is a crash, let's say. And let's say I wanted Warp to try and fix this. If you assign it to Warp, it will kick off a new task in a similar way. It says Warp is working on this task. You can go in here and watch status updates come back in as well. And so you get the same thing. If you also want to go ahead and connect and see Warp do its work and get a transaction of it, you can do that. So super cool. Let me go back to Slack actually for a second. You'll see it came up with the plan here for me. It did basically what I did in that first thing. So if I didn't want to sit there and watch it work, I could have just asked it to do it this way, which is kind of increasingly how I do it. The cool thing about doing this in Slack is you can see what your teammates are doing with Warpy as well, or Warp, I should say. Okay, so that's how you how the integration works. I want to quickly show how you can set up something like this. So let's say I wanted to do some work. Let's say I want to do some work on like a public repo, and I wanted to do it in the cloud. So and I wanted to have Warpy be able to do it, or Warp CLI be able to do it. And we haven't quite launched the full Warp CLI version of this yet, but you'll see what I mean. I'm going to go ahead and show you how I might have create something where I can set up an integration with this. So I'm going to, the way that you set up these integrations is using the Warp CLI, and what you need to do is have something called an environment. Now, what I want to do is actually do something called create environment here. So create environment is a / command, and I won't put in, I should have done this from the start, just putting in that chalk environment. I'm just going to have it do this from the current repo. Now, when you do this, essentially what Warp will help you do here is create something that is launchable into Warp's cloud so that an agent can run there. So it's going to figure out the right Docker image here. Should figure out how to do this with TypeScript. Node.js. Is there any additional tooling? So it's going to give you a base image. So to get one of these environments going, you need a base image. Then you're going to need some setup commands. It should just be cloning this repo, I have a feeling. npm install. So this is running this command here to create the environment, which is pretty cool. Okay, so then what you need to do is you have to authenticate so the environment itself can access your repo. So I'm going to go ahead and click this link here. I'll do this under Zach Lloyd, select repositories, chalk. Beautiful. Okay. Auth to GitHub. And now I want to go ahead and set this up to run with, we will run this with Slack. So this is the final step here. It's pretty easy. Okay, cool. So that should be, is that really all there is to it? If that is all there is to it, it's incredible. Not. But yeah, so those are all the features for Agents 3 launch. This was a pretty amazing, cool demo. It's a super, super powerful new set of features that I really don't think any other terminal development platform or terminal coding agent can do. So please try them out and give us feedback. Thank you.